Let's go. Yeah, coffee. Here we go. Actually, I should let everyone know that we're live. We're live, everybody. I can share the links like this. Hey, Facebook. Did you know that we're live? See if it works, though. Facebook seems to think that Google Plus links are evil. And I tend to agree, but it doesn't help me at all. It's not going to work. We'll just do this. punishedprops.com/live. Copy. Paste. Okay. And go. There we go. Twitter. There's that. And copy and paste. Boop. Tweet. Awesome. Hey, folks are showing up. Hey, everybody. Let's do this. Let's do that. Is that? Yeah, that's my face. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Hey, guys. Let's move my mouse over here so I can reach. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to the shop. Kind of a impromptu thing I'm doing here to kind of celebrate, but also kind of get some work done. So, hey, gang, we do this thing, this live thing every week, and many of you join in, which is fantastic. But also, many of you support the show via Patreon. Boop, there it is, patreon.com/punishedprops. And we just hit a milestone, the $150 per week of content milestone. And that goal was monthly shows from the shop. Now, you guys have made it clear in no uncertain terms that you really enjoy when we do the live show, the Q&A thing every week. But when we build stuff in the shop, or when I build things live in the shop, you like to hang out and check that out. And we want to do more of that. And you guys want to see more of that. And you've proven it by supporting the show. 49 of you. We can make it to 50. I know. I can convince at least one other person to support the show today. You've made it clear that you want to see more of this content. So we will guarantee at least one of these live shows every single month where I will sit down and show you how I build what I build live in the shop, just like this. So today, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Whole time thanking you guys for supporting us. Also, we are live. We got a chat thing going on. If you see down below me here, there's a chat thing. People are saying hi. If you go to punishedprops.com/live, all the information you need to know to join the live chat, it's a little IRC channel we have set up, will be right there. You can go there and you can talk amongst one another. You can throw messages to me. I'll try and keep an eye on this thing while it's going. Saber says speed time-lapse builds would be a good content to consider. Yeah, that's pretty cool too. So yeah, go join in the chat, and I'm going to build something today, and you guys can watch along, and you can chat with me, you can chat with one another, and it'll be super fun. So what am I working on today? You guys probably know, since I put it in the title of the thing. I'm going to pan down now. Bleep. Oh, snap. So this is the District 9 rifle, the alien prawn rifle that they use to gooify humans in District 9. And I'm building it. It's very nearly done. The build phase is very nearly done. Molding will happen soon. We've already done some molding. All of these tubes along here, let's see. Those are all done, pulled out of these molds, these silicone molds that I made to make copies of these. And my wife, Brittany, has been diligently making copies. These are all, they're not in place permanently yet because this piece right here needs to get molded. And then these castings will get glued into the final piece. So we've been doing a lot of that sort of stuff lately. Put this guy back. And I've been working really hard to get this piece ready for molding, and it's just about there. I need to seal it up and finish it, sand it and finish it to get it ready for molding. And that'll happen later today, but there are a couple other pieces that are going to be separate, that'll be molded separately, that I'm going to build today. In this area right here, there are these, like, I don't know, heat sink looking things. And I would call them Greebles. That's what they are, little detail things. And those pieces there are going to be built separately. There's a lot of detail there, and I don't want the big mold to catch on those. So I'm going to mold them separately as a one-part mold and then cast them and glue them in place in the final piece. So I'm going to build those today along with a couple other pieces. These are the weird scope things that go up in the top of the gun here. This one has a couple pieces that go on the front of it that I'm also going to mold separately. Here's my outline template design things for those. It's, I know, highly detailed. And then these are the pieces that go here. I've already cut out sort of the base plates for them, and they'll rest right in there. And they've got these sort of heat sink things on them, and a circle-y thing, and a switch thing, and that's what I'm going to build today while you guys watch along. Right. Cool. I'm going to slide this guy out of the way because we won't be working on this. Make some room for these pieces. There we go. All right. So this is what I've got to go with here. In 3D, I did design like these spike things, but I've decided that I'm going to go with, as far as the height of them, I'm going to go with just 1/4 inch thick material because that's what I have on hand, and that seems like it'll be deep enough. So I've got this stuff here. Now, this is a foam PVC sheet, and also called Sintra. That's like the name brand of it. And I'm using this because it's rigid. It holds a good edge. I could do it out of MDF like most of this other things, but the MDF, once it starts getting kind of small, it doesn't hold an edge very well, and it also could snap. This stuff is really, really durable. So I'm going to use my bandsaw to cut off thin strips that are beveled a little bit to make these heat sink things, and just cut a bunch of those out. The switch will also be made out of, this, again, the same material. This is a PVC foam sheet. I think this is, yeah. Again, just cut out using probably the bandsaw and cleaned up and glued together. There are these circle bits, and on the actual piece, if we look on, where is it? We've got an image picture. There it is. This is the piece that I'm building right here. So there are these sort of circle-y looking bits and some more Greebles going on there. Who knows what those are for? This weird scope thing in the movie, they didn't actually really use it as a scope. They just sort of blind fired. I'm going to make most of those usually just using some acrylic rod here. And I like using acrylic rod because it doesn't have a wood grain like a dowel might. So I've got some various diameter pieces here. And I'll cut off little slices of these and glue them down to make these cylindrical pieces. We'll get to that later, but first I got to do a bunch of beveling on the bandsaw to cut out these strips. And they are about, let's see here, get my ruler out. They're about 1/8 of an inch wide at the base So I'm going to try and get that pretty close. And I'll cut a bunch of thin strips like that. Hopefully, that's how it's going to go. On the bandsaw, clean them up, and then cut them to length. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, Nikita is asking, hey, I'm making a prop gun for display. Have you got any tips for me? Yeah, just build something you really like. If it's just for display, you can go with some more brittle materials that aren't as durable but are easy to work with, like extruded polystyrene or insulation foam. Look up Andrew Cook, the Frontline Trooper, on YouTube. He's got a bunch of good stuff about that. Saber 5674 wants to know, building the Revenant from Mass Effect, wanted to make it with both light and sound using breakout boards from Spark Fun. What's the best way to make a hollow compartment to hold the electronics? If you're going to cast something out of a mold, then you can definitely plan in the casting to have a hollow compartment that gets covered. If not, just build it in. Like with this big old gun here, you can make a panel on the back of it here that's removable. There's already screws there that are decorative now, but you can make those unscrew and pop a panel out and then hold your electronics in there. He also wants to know if this gun will have any working electronics. No, this one's going to be static. There aren't really any lights on it. All right, I'm going to go cut some strips in the bandsaw. This is going to be very exciting. But I have a bandsaw camera, and I'll be over there for a little bit. And here we go. Eighth of an inch. That's pretty good. So I set up the fence on the bandsaw there, and I set it at a 10-degree angle so I could cut this. It's really going to be hard to see on the camera, but it's about 1/8 of an inch wide on the bottom, and then on the top it's about 1/16 of an inch. And I'll just cut out several of these guys here, and then I'll clean them up a little bit, and then you can see I could even cut these with just a knife. They're so thin now. They're going to be these heat sink things like that. I could just cut them to length, roughly like that. Let's say these little blade looking things, just like so. And it looks like they ended up a little thin. I'll tell you what, I didn't do a great job of keeping it tight to the fence, so that the thickness on this is not exactly uniform. So I'll try and clean it up a little bit on the next cut. Here we go. Back to the bandsaw cam. Boom. Actually, I'm going to sand this real quick. I ended up this edge was a little lopsided, so I ended up making the cuts not straight. And since these pieces are so thin, it makes a difference. It really does. So just sanded it flush. And I'll make some new cuts. Still not great, but we'll roll with it. All right. Cool. So here's my doodads. They're not, like I said, they're not amazingly perfect. Part of the reason is that bandsaw, the bed on it is not, there's a lot of plastic on that thing. It's a little flimsy, which is annoying. But until I buy a new bandsaw, that's just the way it is. All these surfaces on here have like the tooth marks from the bandsaw blade. So I'm going to sand them a little bit, because sanding them before I glue them down is going to be a lot easier and good for my sanity. So here we go. I'm doing this. Let's see here. Oh, you guys are chatting it up. That's great. Cool. I love that, having this chat now, because there's a lot of you guys who know a lot about this stuff, and you're able to help each other out, which is fantastic. All right. Sanding. I wonder how much footage I have of myself sanding. I got a lot of sanding footage this week. Makes me wonder, how much do I really need? The another reason why I'm using this PVC sheet is it sands really, really nicely. It's kind of a good combination of rigid and flexible. And what I'm using is a nail file right now to do my sanding. I've sort of been converted to using mostly nail files for a lot of my sanding. I got these guys here, these sanding twigs, which are basically just nail files that have been cut into really, really thin strips. In fact, this one here, I used this yesterday. I found it in the bag. It's hard to tell, but it's like, it is just over 1/16 of an inch wide, which is fantastic. Tiny little detail pieces. Sanding twigs, everybody. Sanding twigs. Get yours today. Saber wants to know where I got the reference images for this gun. Most of this is built on this guy here, which is the quarter scale model that Weta put out, which is really awesome. One of my favorite little things that I have. They also put out a full scale replica, and I've got most of my references from that piece there. I opted to not go with the movie reference because for time, I decided to just use the one that they had built already because it looks great and there are lots of pictures of it. So if you look at the picture thing here, I've got all of the like perfect side photos, some detail shots of like this piece here. You can see bloop, there. I built that guy kind of there in the barrel. Got that right here. So here's the barrel and other barrel thing. And what else we have? A detail shot of that canister part. See what else we've got. The tube thingies, a nice 3/4 view and the side view. So I went with that guy mostly because there was already really great references and I didn't want to have to go hunt for them, so I just used those. See, Frodan 2 is building a battle axe out of MDF. Wondering how to balance out the blade. Use MDF. I like using. I don't like it usually as a final product. I like to rather mold it because I can mold it out of something more durable and more lightweight. So you may consider doing that, molding and casting it, or building it out of a lighter material because it is going to be tricky to use such a heavy material for the blade. Just carrying it around becomes a chore. So I'm sanding all of the surfaces on this. The back side of it I'm sanding right now so that I can glue it down, give it a little bit of something to grip onto when it's being glued down. There we go. So one strip ready to go. And this, we'll start on this piece here. And these are going to get glued sort of in line, bloop, 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 like that. And to cut them to length, I probably don't really need to. I could just use the knife. I was going to say I could go through it on the bandsaw, but this stuff cuts so easy with a knife that why not just cut it with a knife? Like so. So I'll cut one of them and use that as my guide for the rest. Like that. Like that. So that I'm getting all these nice little tiny little pieces here. Let's see, Hell Dog Demon. There we go. Says, loves my channel and greetings from the Netherlands. Greetings! Welcome to America. See, Thomas 0699 says he's making a beam rifle from Halo 4 out of insulation foam. Was wondering if I had any tips on programming LEDs. I don't know anything about programming. I'm pretty bad at any of that. So maybe someone else in the chat will be able to help you out. And here we go. This thing here is a 1, 2, 3 block, and it's just a big old chunk of metal. But it is great for using as a stop, like I'm using right now, and lots of other applications. Yeah. Like that. And that. And like that. Awesome. So I need, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 of these. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'll prep another one of these guys here and get those cut out. Let's see, Nikita's a first time prop. I have some pale insulation foam. Tried working with it. It's a nightmare. Any tips? Oh, making the laser rifle from just from Fallout. That's awesome. Mostly, it's just lots and lots of practice, getting used to a material, getting really understanding what the material can do and what it can't do. There's a lot of stuff on this rifle that is made. I've made different parts of it out of different materials because MDF just won't cut it for all of it. So some of the more sculpted parts on there are done with an epoxy putty called freeform sculpts that smooth-on cells, because it is much easier to get more rounded shapes because you can sculpt it traditionally, with like sculpting tools and your fingers, and you can't really do that with MDF. So just get used to the material that you're working with and understand its limitations. And not every project needs to be built out of one material, so try out some different stuff. I'm already kind of like not feeling like using MDF anymore. I'm like graduating to more of this urethane tooling foam stuff. I've got all of the cylinder pieces for this gun, and we're done out of our urethane tooling foam. And that stuff is fantastic. It is quite a bit more expensive than MDF, but it's really, really nice. In fact, I could have done this out of that stuff too, but I have plenty of this PVC sheet lying around, so I might as well use it. And this there. There we go. Cut one more of these guys, and then we can glue them down. Okay. So these are going to lay down here, and I'm gonna lay them on there just as like a test run to see. This one didn't get cut straight at all. Cut another one. Throw you out. There we go. There we go. Because I got these pretty much the right width, but I want to make sure. Actually, tweezers. This is a great thing to have. Yeah, Vex FX says Ren Shape is great foam. That's the foam I used. It's a urethane tooling foam, and it's awesome. This is probably how I'll glue these guys down, using tweezers. All right. So tedious. Isn't it? And like this. And like this. Cool. I think that looks pretty good. Awesome. I know it's kind of hard to tell from up there. Let's see if I can get a little closer. There we go. So that's what I've got. So I'm going to put some lines on there, peel back that paper, and see about gluing those down. The 1, 2, 3 block is Pi is asking you about that. It's just a chunk of steel. You can buy these on Amazon. Usually machinists use them. It's 1 inch by 2 inches by 3 inches, hence the name. It's heavy. You can use it as a straight edge. You can use it to weigh stuff down. It's just got a million purposes. I got a couple of them. I'll probably get some more. Pretty neat. All right. Now to do all that again. What I'm going to do to make lines so I know where to put them, because I'm going to peel this paper off. This paper was glued down when I cut this out originally. I'm going to just score it with a knife that'll go through the paper, and then I'll know where to put it. So I'll score it on one side like so. For all 8 of them, there are 8 of these little blade thingies. I imagine this is a heat sink of some kind. It seems like that's what it is. And I imagine on the original prop when they built it, that's what they used when they made it, the heat sink off of some mechanical part that they found. I don't know. There's a lot about this gun. I don't understand why it exists. It's got a lot of tubes. It's got a lot of heat sink things. And really all it does is send some sort of energy thing downrange, so I'm not really sure what all that's for. But it's all going on there. This circle here, I'm pretty confident. I know where that goes. That'll be like this acrylic rod I've got. I'll just slice a piece off and glue that down there. So I'm going to peel this paper off. Nikita lives in Latvia in a small city called Saldus, and we don't have anything. Oh, it's really hard. Yeah, it's tricky. If you live in a place where I'm kind of spoiled where I live, but if you live in a place where it's hard to get these certain materials, you kind of have to just work with what's available. Maybe just see what sort of materials you do have access to and then try and bend them to your will. There we go. A little mustache thing. But it's really, really faint. But there are lines on there now that I scrawled in with my X-Acto knife. All right, I've got my super glue. You see, it says this is Bill's super glue. I have my tweezers, and I'm going to, one at a time, tweeze these guys onto their spots very, very carefully. Let's see. Like so. Actually, let's do it that way. Yeah. And a little bit of, oh, I already broke it. Come on, Bill. Get your act together. No, I got to put a little bit more glue on there. Who's texting me? It looks like I can do this without the tweezers. I just have to really get up on it. Okay. And then it oozed a little bit of glue out the side. If I can just squeeze it down and wipe up that glue. And there we go. And the super glue dries pretty fast. It's one of the reasons why I like to work with it. But I also have this accelerant, and I can spray it on there. Boop, and it will cure right away. 7 to go. All right. The other thing is, since I've sprayed that accelerant on here, before it has a chance to dissolve, it will accelerate the next thing I try and glue down, which can be a good thing if that's what you want. All right. And touchdown. Yeah, so that one dried right away as soon as it touched, because there was some of that accelerant left. 2. Bruin G wants to know how much time total you spend on something like this. I'm gonna guess I'm in the 200-hour range. I probably should have paid attention to that or kept track. It's been roughly 2 weeks worth of work, 7 days a week, at least 10 hours a day on this thing. So if you can math that, then you can maybe figure it out. My God. All right. Zip Kicker, yeah. That's one of the brand names of the accelerant. This is just the Instaset the Hobbytown sells, the accelerator. All right. Let's do that. Next one. This really just makes me want to go build like model kits, like spaceships and stuff. These are not exactly lined up along this edge, but I think that if I go afterwards, I can go back with a file and kind of clean them up a little bit. Pi says, does anyone know a good glue to use in areas that get fairly warm? I think you're talking about like not melting. Like hot glue can actually melt if you leave it in your car and you live in Phoenix, Arizona. I like, for like armor stuff, I use barge cement, and it's a contact adhesive, but it's also rubbery. It flexes. That's good stuff. I need to. Let's do this little paddle thing so I can go and try to clean out the glue. The squeeze out. Nobody likes squeeze out. All right, we are chugging along here. Boop, boop, boop. Cool. All right, another one. These tweezers are really handy. And let's squeeze that out of there. I have this little metal paddle thing, and I just put a piece of paper towel on the end of it to get all the glue out of the inside bit there. All right. Two more? Two more. We can do this. With super glue, you actually really want a nice thin layer of it. You don't want to put a bunch of it down because it cures. It doesn't dry. It reacts with moisture in the air. So the thinner of a layer that you put down, the more of it will actually cure because it's in contact with the air. Did I? That seems pretty good. Science, you guys, science. If you have a big glob of super glue, it actually won't cure all the way because the inside, when the outer shell of it cures, the inner shell is protected from the air by the outer shell, and it will never cure. And you'll have this big lump of sadness, liquidy sadness in the middle of your glue spot. There we go. All right. So I didn't get these perfectly the right length, but I'll be able to clean those up. So this top edge, the bottom edge will be easy. I'm going to go do that right now. I'll just touch it to the belt sander and that'll clean it up. But these other guys here, I will fix a different way. And I'll show you how. But first, the belt sander. All right, well, that was the easy part. This bottom edge here is nice and flush. And the top part we need to do a similar thing with. It definitely isn't flush. But I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. No, I've got a ruler and a big knife. Will this work? Yeah, that'll probably work. At the very least, I made a line. I know where to trim all of these down to. No, I can just go right through. So I've got this big knife here, and I'm just cutting it straight down. This is like my favorite knife in the world. Straight down to the surface, like that. I've got these little sort of tails sticking off of it there. Kind of hard to tell. But I'll take this chisel, and I'll just chip them off one by one. Boop. Burp. Burp. Boop. There we go. And now everything is nice and flush, just like that. Looks like everything's tapered. Looks like it's glued down nicely. Now I'm going to do the little circle thing that was on there. Here was my reference. My little thing that got all curled up. There's a circle doodad thing there. Again, no idea what any of these weird alien accoutrements are supposed to do in this gun. Oh, by the way, too, folks, if you're in the chat and you want to send a thing that I will notice, if you do, I think it's like at Punish Props, it'll show up like in a different color for me, so I'll actually see it. It's hard. Sometimes when you guys chat a bunch, it's hard for me to keep up because I'm working on stuff. All right, let's tidy it. I like to, once I finish a step on a thing that I'm working on, I like to tidy up. I have a little shelf. Let's see if you guys can see. It's hard to tell, but I've got a big drawer here where I keep all my measuring stuff. But right above it is a little shelf where I keep a lot of my most used things so that if I need something, I can just reach down and grab it. So like my tiny ruler here, that just goes right there. And then the rest of my stuff goes on the wall. We've got all these stuff on magnets there. So that's how that works. All right, cool. A little behind the scenes. So these tweezers I'm going to keep around because I know I'll use them again. This little paddle thing I'll use again. This file I don't need right now. I'll definitely use my sanding tools. I'll definitely use that. All right. So here is the dowel, the acrylic rod that I got. That is actually not very round. Huh! I'm just looking at the cross section of it, or when I spun it in my hand, I can actually feel that it's not perfectly round. Kind of hard to tell on camera. Well, damn. Let's see if I have something else I can use. All right. Let's see. What is this? I've got over here. Let's go a little more behind the scenes for you guys. Let's do that. So over there, I have all of these drawers have little doodads and little molds that I keep on hand. And when I have extra resin, I'll dump it in and pop out these little pieces. Like here's a little thing I made. Little knobs, little greebles and stuff. So when I need just a thing to go on a thing, I'll grab it, like this little knob thing that I got. So that's pretty handy to have. Like that. So I grabbed this little knob, and I'm going to see if it's actually way too big. This guy here. So I need something else. Really bummer to find out about that this rod was the wrong size. I should have checked beforehand. Not the wrong size, but it's lopsided. Another option. Take a sip of coffee. Let's see. What do I have over here? Give me a second, you guys. Well, I was avoiding using wooden dowel like this because you have to contend with that wood grain, but this is actually round. So I think I'm going to give this a go. What I'll do first is I'll clean this up on the belt sander or on the disc sander and sort of bevel the edge on it. And then I'll cut a slice of it off. Well, I'll sand it and make it look all pretty and nice and smooth. First, and then I'll slice a bit of it off on the belt or on the bandsaw, and then I'll have this tiny little disc. So let's go do that, shall we? Let's go over to the bandsaw cam. Boop. And I can swing this around. All right, so I have this dowel, and I've cleaned up the end of it a little bit, and then I'm going to use a sanding sponge to just sort of sand this down nice and smooth, get it ready. It's way easier to do this now than when it's a tiny little disc. So I'll just spin it around like that, and hopefully we won't see much of the wood grain after this. Let's see, Saber wants to know, I want to make a life-size Peppercurra statue of a robot at the Tower of in Destiny. Might be able to grab the model from the game. That I don't know. Actually, getting the model, someone got a bunch of the STL, or not STL, but files that were converted to STL from the game. And I don't know about, most of them are like guns and armor pieces, but the actual like NPCs and stuff, I don't know. Not exactly sure how you might get those. With games that are on the PC, it's a lot easier. People build programs to rip the models out. So, for example, I have all the models from Skyrim, but with console games, it's a little more tricky. Back to the bandsaw can. There we go. So I have this tiny little doodad. It's a technical term. But it's all nice and sanded already. I just need to sand the back of it flush, and then I'll glue it down into place. And then this piece will be mostly done. Let's see here. Just use a flat piece of sandpaper and do this. Yeah, Saber says he's trying to get models from the Xbox One. It is tricky. A third party, someone else has to develop the software to pull models out of games, and they're all different depending on the game engine. So that can be kind of tricky. All right. Then this guy gets glued in place right around there, and we're good to go. Again, more super glue like this. And then it goes like that. And we push it down, and it's pretty good. See, Nikita says, I'm a total beginner. Do you have any tips for me? What should I never do as a prop maker? Well, I mean, I guess safety is generally the first thing you should keep track of. Nikita also wants to know, is it worth becoming a full-time prop maker? Depends on what you mean by worth. Like, the value that you get out of it depends on, what you put into it. Do you want to be like a Hollywood prop maker? Do you want to run your own business like I do? I think it's worth it just because I get to get up and build stuff every day. If that's a goal of yours, then you're in luck. The challenge then becomes actually sustaining a living, making money out of it. That part's a little trickier. But if you can figure it out, it is totally worth it. All right. So I'm cutting some smaller doodads for this guy here. This other part, it's these same heatsink things. And actually, let's pull the gun over here for a quick second. This is kind of neat. Is this the one that goes here? No, other side. Flip it over. Choo-choo. Let's do that real quick. So this guy right there goes right there. All right. I like it. That's pretty good. And again, this is going to get cast separately than the main body part. So I'll have a separate mold cast this part up and then drop it in there. Just like that. Let's do the other one. So again, I've got my little strips of plastic. There it is. I'm cutting out little doodads to go right there. Little heatsink doodads. That's what I'm calling them. Oops. Hope you guys appreciate my camera magneted to the heating duct method of camera management up there. I'm going to try and cut these guys a little bit more similar than the other one, so I have to do less cleanup work. And I do believe I need 8 as well. Let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Five. Woo! Some compelling content right here. All right. Six. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more. I went to school for art. Math and counting is not really my thing. There we go. And I have plenty left over. So again, I'm going to score these, this design I have on here so I know where to put the thing. I'm actually going to, let's see here. Ha! There's another circle thing on here. I should have done 2 of them. Where's that down? Where did you go? There it is. Is that the same? That is. All right. I'll come back to that. First, we'll do this. Cool. I tend to work. Let's move this up here a little bit. There we go. A little bit more. My hands on the action. I have an idea too. And I'm just carving one side of each of these to use as a marker. I don't need to carve both sides. I've never done this where you print out your template and then glue it to the wood. It's my first time doing that. I know it's very common among woodworkers. In fact, a lot of this project has been similar to a lot of the woodworking videos I've been watching. And I'll tell you what, it's pretty handy. So this is a switch thing, and there's sort of a weird switch thing on there. I will deal with that later. So all of this paper is just spray adhesive on there, and it comes off fairly well. It's not a permanent spray adhesive, and that's what I want. I want it to be able to come off. Just using a chisel here anywhere that it's resisting. I chisel it off. There we go. So this piece right here I'll just keep because I gotta make that switch. So I'll just sort of flatten that out again. And again, it's hard for you guys to see, but there's little lines carved in there, so I know where to line all these up. I'm also gonna lay a piece of tape down so I know where to line up the bottom of this thing. Some of these lines are not as dark as I had hoped. Let's draw a line first. Just want to make sure that it's all parallel. Start right there. And draw a line. That. Then I'm going to put the tape on there just so there's a little bit of a lip for me to line up. Little pieces will go sort of against that lip right there. Then I kind of have to carve these lines again because I can't really see them. I thought I had cut them in really deep, but I was wrong. It's not a straight line, Bill. Use a ruler. I hope you guys are enjoying the view of the top of my head right now. What have I done? Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more. 8. There we go. Now I know where they go. And I'll do the same thing I just did with the other one using my tweezers. I'll glue them down one at a time. All right. More super glue. Peeling off the little super glue build up on the end of the thing there. That is inevitable. It just happens. It is the way of the things. Let's see. Let's do that side. Just a tiny amount of super glue. All right, one. Let's see here. Hey, we got a pretty good chunk of people watching. I hope you guys are having a good day. It's Monday. I'll tell you what, my Monday has been off to a pretty good start. Got up, went for a walk, had some breakfast. I am in the house alone today. Brittany, my wife, who usually works here, is at jury duty, so she's doing her civic duty today. I am left to my own devices, so obviously making a space gun, which I would have been doing anyway. I'll tell you what, this project and a couple of other ones recently have sort of piqued my interest in doing more model kit type things. Oh shit, that's not. That one got away from me. Oh, I gotta reglue that. Like not only just building like models, like car models and spaceship models and stuff, but making my own model kits. That sounds really fun. All right. Go my little paddle. This thing just does not want to sit down. So here, it's giving me a little grief. I hit it with a little bit of accelerant, and it's gonna stay. It's gonna stay put now. This is cool. I see you guys are sharing a bunch of your stuff in the chat. It's awesome. And that will, because I put that spray on there, that'll just cure right away. Like, oh, that's a little. That one's a little cockeyed. I gotta pop that one out and redo it. Will it come out? Nope, it's in there. It's in there like that. I'm just gonna have to live with it. Let's see. Oh, Nexus Child has a question. Just FYI too, folks, if you have a question for me, if you drop my name in there at Punish Props in the IRC chat, it'll pop up for me. But I just saw that one. Nexus Child wants to know what I prefer, the bandsaw or the scroll saw. Well, I got started using a scroll saw, so I got good at it. I'm going to have to trim all these. They're not even close to the same length. So I mean, just because of my own personal story, Punish Props with no space in it. I would say start with the scroll saw. But now that I have both, I couldn't imagine my life without either. There are certain things that each one can and can't do, and having both means you can do all those things. So both. Just get both. We're getting there. All right, last one. And there goes that. All right, cool. I'm going to hit it all with this spray accelerant one more time just to make sure that everything is locked in. I can take this tape off. I don't need that anymore. And some of it got glued down. That's okay. This is all going to get cleaned up. All right. I think, again, I need to go in and use my long knife to sort of trim everything flush. That's okay. Yeah. Again, just cutting this thing so all the edges are flush. I got to do both sides because I can't use the disc sander on this side this time. There we go. And those all popped off. But for the ones that didn't, I have my little chisel here. These little woodworking chisels. Someday I'll get some good ones. These ones I got at Harbor Freight like 5 years ago. And they've served me well. But this little woodworking chisel, I use this thing every single day. Clean off my little bit of tape that stuck around. Let's see here. I'm going to have to sand that a little bit and clean that up. But there we go. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Not my finest work, I don't think, but pretty good. So we've got those two things. I got to do the little circle doodad again, and then I'll work on this switch. So I'm going to go run over to the disc sander and take care of that. Once again, I'm going to sand this before I cut it, just because it makes my life a lot easier. Yeah. If you don't have any sanding sponges either, do yourself a big old favor and go get a bunch of sanding sponges. These things are wonderful. Come in many different grits. They conform to whatever you're sanding. They are wonderful. See, Nikita wants to know if I've seen Fallout 4. Yes, I'm really excited about Fallout 4. I've been playing the Vault Hunter game, or the Vault Dweller game. What are they calling it? Fallout Shelter. I've been playing that on my iPad, and it's pretty fun. Although I've been getting solid B's every day, and last night I got a C. People in my vault aren't really happy. I don't know what the problem is. All right. tiny little thing that I made. That sure is a little thing. Stay in the back of it, and then glue it down. So these two pieces are kind of mirrored a little bit. And that one will go kind of just like that. Just like that. All right. And now there's a little switch thing. Let's see my little design here. There, that's perfect. Ta-da! There's a little switch thing. And the 2D view that I have on here is not ideal, but I know what it looks like because I designed it. I actually have it modeled out in SketchUp. And I don't have it running right now because I don't want to tax my computer too much. But when I'm building this, I actually have the 3D model that I built usually up in SketchUp so that if I have, like, this whole thing was designed and built already in 3D. So I can go and look at it and figure out what I was trying to accomplish when I designed it. So this thing has like a base plate that the switch sits in, and then the switch. And the switch is going to be static. It's not going to move or anything. So I need to cut out a couple pieces. Kind of want to have a lip around the switch so it doesn't look like it's totally just in there, embedded. Let's see here. I have an idea. A couple things. I've got this stuff here, which is a really thin styrene. I don't want, like, hard putting this into words, but around the edge of this switch, I want there to be a little bit of an indent. And this stuff is ridiculously thin, so I'm going to use that for it. But first, I think I'm going to cut the switch out. And I'll do that out of this. This is more PVC sheet. It's just thicker. It's, almost half an inch. I'm just doing a brain exercise right now to figure out how I want to make that happen. I think I want to cut out the side of it first. So I'll cut out a piece of this that's, let's say, in inches, because my bandsaw uses inches like a jerk. So 3/4 of an inch will be wide enough. Let's go do that. Bandsaw cam. Okay. Overhead cam. All right, so I'm going to design out the sort of cross section on this thing on here. And I'm going to do these measurements in millimeters because that's so much easier. The base of it is 25 millimeters. So let's do that like so. There, 25, like that. And then I want to draw a line straight down. This is a little bit of a giant tool for this, but it works. This is square to draw my line straight down. And the same thing over here. Actually, I need the midline too, so 12.5 millimeters will get me the midline. 2.5 right there. Cool. So one side of this is going to be flat. We'll make this the bottom down here. And let's see here. Nikita says, what was your most challenging project? This one, I'll tell you what, this one's been pretty challenging. I don't really, probably the ghost rifle build I did a while back. Oh, I want to make this switch look like it's pushed down on one side, so I have to make it kind of like asymmetrical. I'm just going to eyeball it. So that's what's happening next. Me eyeballing this. It can be a little bit more pushed down on one side, I think. Cool, that looks good. And then let's say these are a centimeter long. So that's up here. And that's down there. And then I'll connect it. Kind of like that. And I'll connect that kind of like that, and we'll call it good. I know it's not perfectly right. I don't know. But there's my wacky little design. I did a ghost rifle build a year or so ago, and that one was really challenging. It was the biggest mold I had made to date until I molded this thing. And everything that could go wrong went wrong on that one. So that was really challenging. All right. I'm thinking bandsaw or scroll saw. I could do this on the bandsaw. Beep. Yeah. Okay. Frodan says, see you later. See you later, Frodan. All right, so I've got this little switch-shaped thing, but I have to cut out the other angly bits. I don't know what they're called. I'm also going to sand the back of this thing. There we go. Lies nice and flat. So let's actually, I need to sort of define this edge a little bit better. Where's my file? The bandsaw was pretty good. It didn't quite. It's not a surgical tool, that's for sure. These little files, on the other hand, are kind of surgical. All right. And just a little bit more. There's a little lip there I'm trying to get rid of. Let's go in with a sanding stick thing here. These little nail files are so handy. That looks pretty good. And I'll probably sand that a little bit more before I finish it, but we're looking pretty good. Let's just Draw the midline in there by hand. That's pretty good. All right. So now I'm trying to mimic this shape over there. And the width on it is, let's see, 11 millimeters. So let's knock that out here. And we'll also put the middle, which is 5.5 and 11. Like that. And then it's, you know what? I can just cut this out and trace it. That's what I'll do. Got this pattern that I made. Why don't I just use it? All right, so I've got this tiny piece of paper. I know this reads really well on camera. Tiny piece of paper. I'm just going to hold it down and trace the edges of it so I know where to cut. Like that. It looks pretty good. And then we'll just flip the paper around, trace it on the other side, and cut that. Or trace. Yeah. You heard me. Cool. Again, really hard to see. It's a really tiny little piece, but that's what's going on next. Nikita also wants to know, oh, saw my tested project. Yeah, that's this guy here. I would Nikita wants to know if I'm going to do more with tested. Yeah, we're planning on stuff. This is kind of the first real big thing I've done with them. But I'm enjoying it. Hopefully they like it, and hopefully we want to do more. All right, I'm going to go cut this out with. I'm going to rough cut this on the bandsaw and clean it up on the disc sander. Yeah. Tell you what, I am pretty stoked with how this thing turned out. I'll try and show you guys again. Really tiny. There's a little bit of flashing left over from the sanding. I can trim that off like that and like that. And there is a little rocker switch doodad that I cut out. That's going to go on this bit here. I'm going to start, I think, by tracing this on this thin material so I know where the lip of it's going to be. And then I can, let's see, it's about 1/16 of an inch on the edge there. I might give it a generous 1/16 of an inch. All right, like that. And over there. Like so. And then on the other side. And on the other side. About like that. So that's where this is going to rest. It's kind of hard to see on the camera. That's going to rest in there. See, Pi says, have you ever used filler primer to try and save some time instead of doing a thorough sanding job? I use filler primer anyway, and I sand it. So both of those things. Actually, for this one, I've been using a catalyzed filler, spray filler called Feather Fill. You need an air gun, you need a compressor for it, but it is awesome. It is really, really cool. It's like spraying on a thin layer of Bondo. And then you sand it a whole bunch. You're not going to get out of sanding. If you want a good finish on your prop, you got to sand it a whole lot. This thin plastic, this thin styrene I'm using is so thin that I can just cut it with an X-Acto. I'm going to do 2 passes on it, but it's really, really thin. And like that. There we go. Go the other way. Try not to rush when I'm doing this sort of cutting out. That's how, like, a lot of the machined looking parts on this build are all done by hand, but it's all done by hand very carefully and slowly. Let's see if this will pop out. Yeah, there we go. So I cut out a little hole in there, and this is where that'll rest. And there's a gap, a little bit of a gap around it, and that's what I want. I want it to look like this switch is actually recessed in the area where it goes. Nikita thinks I should do a prop maker tool with Adam Savage. That would be fun. I would probably get destroyed, but it would be really fun. Adam has a lot. You guys know that Adam Savage was a model maker at Industrial Light and Magic, right? You guys know that was a thing? That's a thing that Adam did, and he's really good at it. But it would still be fun. I think you're right. All right, done with this. I sanded the surface of this beforehand, by the way, because sanding it afterwards sounds like a lot of work because it's so tiny. Here's some 1/8 inch of the PVC, and I'm going to glue this down. First, I'm going to sand it so that it's got a little something to bite onto. Like that. And then this is going to get glued down there. And then this will fit right in there. Okay. With super glue. This is some tiny, tedious thing here. Just like so. Stick that down. All right. So I have just a thin piece glued to that, and that's just to get a little lip on the inside. Now this I'm going to cut again, rough cut it, and then clean it up with the disc sander, and then I'll glue my switch in place, and then it'll be ready to go. Bandsaw cam. Burr. Burr. Little thing. Little thing, tiny little weird switch holder thing. Trim it off. By doing it that way, by cutting out and sanding it flush, those 2 layers that I glued together are now perfectly flush. Like that. And now I can glue the switch into place. And then I'll sand it a bit. Which way? Actually, I'm going to rough this up a little bit beforehand. with my sanding sponge. So that little crevice is when you cut out the styrene with an X-Acto. That when the blade pushes it away, because it's not removing material, it will make it buckle a little bit. So I'm just sort of knocking that back, that little buckled edge, knocking it back a little bit. There we go. And this will fit right in there. And there's just a hint of an edge in there. It's not really overt, and I'm okay with that. That does not look square. That looks better. And a little heavy on the super glue. Doesn't take much. There we go. Hold that in place for just a moment. Just like that. And glued down. And now I'm going to go over and round over all the edges before I sand it down. Again, any chance to do any cleanup work on a little piece like this before you attach it to the main body is ideal, so that you can manipulate it in your hand without it being stuck to something. Now, the big gun body that's over there, I'm at the point where I'm doing a lot of cleanup work on it, and I got to haul this thing around. Kind of a pain. Sanding the back of this so that I can glue it down, and then just using these little sanding nail files to round over my edges and clean it up a bit so it looks all pretty, and then I'll glue it in place. All right. The sanding stream. All sanding all day long. All right. This will all get hit with that filler spray I was telling you guys about. So I'm not trying to sand it down to a perfect finish right now, but I'm getting it pretty good. Rounding over the edges, putting like little bevels on them. Nothing crazy, but just cleanup work. Get the sides of it here. Again, I cannot sing the praises of these guys here, these nail files. They are wonderful. Cannot sing their praises enough. That's what I should say. And there we go. I'm going to call that pretty good. See, Nikita also wants a hard edge modeling versus sculpting. Which do you prefer? I'm way better at hard edge modeling. This little stuff, like gluing little doodads down and making space guns. I am way better at that than I am at like organic sculptural type stuff. So I definitely prefer the hard edge things. I'm lining this up just by eye. Make sure it looks mostly parallel. And I'll just trace it on the main piece and glue it down. Boop. Glue. Probably too much glue. It's all right. That looks pretty good. Calling it good. Okay, there we go. There's another little piece. Actually, I'm going to hit that little came out. I'm going to hit it with the accelerant. Make sure it all stays nice and cured. There we go. So there's two little pieces. Like I said, these will get molded and cast later today, probably. not on the stream. Someday I'll do a live molding and casting stream, but not today. Today is a model making day. Let's cut out these things. These will be pretty quick, I think. They don't have these little doodads on them. Oh, here, I'll just do. Ta-da! Right. Actually, let me show you what it looks like. I'll do this again. Drag the gun over. Choo choo. There we go. I think this one goes in there. So that goes in there on that side. And then if we flip it over, this one goes in there. And they fit. Hooray! And that's how that goes. I'm guessing this is the on-off switch for the gun. You should turn the gun on. Okay. Let's knock out these little pieces real quick. They're fairly simple. They have a lot of the round bits on them. And like I was saying before, I've got these acrylic pieces. Oh, I had another one. I had a tiny one. There it is. I have these different diameter of acrylic. And that's what's going to go in there. Actually, this one here kind of has like a donut shape to it. And it's a bigger one. But my bigger one was lopsided. Let's grab that dowel again. Where'd you go? There it is. Let's check the size on that. That's a little big. A little bit big. I need something in between that and that. See. Nikita says, what was your favorite class in art school? I did a lot of 3D computer modeling and animation. I got to spend a semester with 3 of my friends doing a full animation start to finish as like an independent study. So that was pretty fun. All right, I need a different size dowel. Give me one moment while I go and find the right diameter circle of thing. Yeah, this is going to be too big. Yeah, it's too big. It's kind of like the same size as that. I'm looking at my tool. Like, does anything have a handle I could just cut apart? Which I've done before. Just sacrifice the tool handle. I'll tell you what. This is what I'm going to do. This thing has a little, kind of hard to see in there, but there's a little donut-shaped thing. I'll cut that out by hand. That's what I'll do. And I'll drill a hole first and then make a little circle around it. And it'll be super cool. Let's see. Let's do that out of this material. This 1/4 inch stuff. Got my compass here. I'll just make my circle. And also I know where the center of it is, which is awesome. And then I'll just, you know what, I'll just do that by hand. I don't need a drill press for that. Take my power drill, take a fresh battery. Drill a little indent in there. Actually, there's a tiny little hole I made from the, I'm going to enlarge that with this awl so that my drill bit has a place to go. And there we go. It doesn't need to go all the way through. You just need to make a little indent in there, and then the rest of that I'll cut out carefully with probably with the scroll saw. All right. Actually, let's do that. I can do this. Yeah, you guys get the full tour of the shop. I kind of screwed that up a little bit. I'm going to do that again. How do you guys feel about that? Working with such tiny pieces, it's pretty common to totally screw it up. Okay, then. Make a circle. Let's see here. All right. Make a circle. Step 1. Good enough. Drill a little hole. Can do. Awesome. Cut it out with the scroll saw. Carefully. More careful than last time. I think last time I was trying to be a little more closer to the line. This time I cut it out really roughly, and then I'll go clean it up with the sander there. Actually, I can swap this over. Carefully. Well, it's not perfect, but it's close enough. Circles are hard to cut out. Sand both sides of it. I can even sort of round it out a bit more too, just dragging it across, dragging the round edge around across this sandpaper. This is the really exciting, glorious, glamorous part of prop making right here. Don't you know it? All right. Then I'm going to use my stick here to sort of put a bevel around it, and then I'm going to call it pretty good. So I'm just dragging this across the edge to bevel it a bit. Oh, yeah. There's a lot more on this project that's kind of like a tedious, detail-oriented thing than I first imagined when I agreed to do it. A lot of little details, a lot of little doodads there. Let's see here. That donut, inner donut thing, I'm going to smooth that out too, but I'm going to use my Dremel for that. But first, to really sort of smooth this out, drag it across my sanding sponge. There we go. Weird little thing. Let's use the Dremel real quick. Let's see here. Is that the right? Yeah. In fact, I'm just going to use this Dremel bit. I have this little pointed grinding bit, and I'm going to put it in the donut hole and just spin it by hand to sort of bevel the inner edge of that drill hole that I made. Just like that. Little weird, wonky space gun part. There. So that's going to get glued down there on this base shape. So I'll cut out the base shape next. In fact, we'll cut that out of this stuff here, and I'm going to tape it down. And that gets done. Where are my scissors? Oh, Nikita says she enjoyed the PC stuff and art. What profession should I choose? An engineer or designer? I can't pick that for you. Can't tell you what career you should do. I'll tell you this much though. Like I didn't start down my current career path until I was 30. So whatever thing you're doing in school, odds are good you won't do it 10 years from now. So don't feel bad if you feel like you picked the wrong thing. This is a double-sided tape. So there's a sticky side, and then there's a thing on the back of it that you peel off, like so, leaving an adhesive on the other side. So I'm going to take my design, this little thing, and just stick it down like that. And then I can go cut this out and then peel it off. Nikita says, engineers earn more. Yes. Well, it depends. Really good designers are really valuable. All right. Bandsaw. You know what, too, now that I go to my reference picture. Yeah. Where is it? There it is. I think this circle there's a lot more detail on here that I'm going to actually put in the final thing. So I think that little circle is actually a drilled hole. So I'm going to do that right now. Just like that. And now now that I've cut this piece out, I can peel the tape off. Like so. Drill that a little deeper. And then sand it and glue it all together. Oh, again, I'm going to take this Dremel bit here to round the inner bit of this hole I drilled. Do a little beveling. All right. And then let's just clean up this whole thing. Get both sides it in. Again, doing like a quick rough bevel on the top edge there. And then use my sponge sander, sanding sponge. Really kind of clean up the edges a bit. Oh, sounds like someone's here.
What's up?
Hey, I'm live streaming, FYI. Keep it in your pants.
Oh, damn it. My pants back on.
All right, then this little doodad just gets glued on there, and this really tiny piece is done. All right, oh, we got my chat. My chat's flashing at me. Nikita again says, "How much does it cost you to make a prop?" It depends. The real cost is time. The materials usually aren't that expensive. The materials for this gun were, I mean, MDF. You know, it's not really that expensive as far as material cost. My time, on the other hand, very valuable. How much are you selling your prop? This one is not for sale. It depends. A lot of times, it just depends on how much time I put into it and how much I think my time is worth. All right, so this is a goofy little thing. This goes on the front of this. I think it goes there. And I'm going to, again, this is going to get molded separately from this piece because it's got round bits on it and I don't want it to get all wonky. But that's kind of how that goes, just like that. And then there's another piece that goes on top of it, this guy here. And we'll do that now. I think that one's a little bit thicker, so I'm going to cut the base of it out of this stuff here. And again, I will tape it down using this wonderful double-sided tape. And then cut it out using my bandsaw. If anyone else in the chat has questions for me, anything at all, feel free to throw them in there. I really like this sort of back and forth. I like seeing you guys chat amongst yourselves and showing off some of your stuff. If you, yeah, there we go. Tape that down, like so. I'll tell you what, like gluing down or taping down designs like this, I used to not do that. I used to cut out my designs and then lay them down and trace them. Gluing them down is way more accurate. There's no transfer step, so you lose fidelity every time you transfer the design. All right, let's cut this out. Oh, I can say hi to Will. Hi, Will. All right. And let's clean it up on this guy here. Cool. Switch it over. Sergeant Waffles says, how long does it usually take to build a prop this size? This is going to be a good 3 weeks of work for me, and a week of work is usually 7 days and at least 10 hours a day, 10 to 12 hours a day. So that long, 200 to 300 hours probably. see how I feel about the size on this. It does kind of stick out a lot. I mean, on the model, the little model guy here, it does stick out a lot. I think it seems like it's really thick, but I'm just gonna roll with it. All right. Nothing too fancy. This is just like a rectangular prism. I'll just round the edges over a bit. And then the rest of the detail on this is mostly just pieces of that dowel that that acrylic dowel. All right, round over the edges a little bit. And like that. Cool. Clean up the top a little bit. I'm going to glue all these pieces down to it. Just like that. All right, that's going to go above that thing there. And now I've got all my little dowels and I'm going to stick to that. Oh, and of course I destroyed the design. There it is. Stick. So we got two kind of biggish pieces I'll do out of this, and then two kind of smallish pieces I'll do out of this, and then a sort of rectangular piece. So the way I'm going to do this is I'll take these rods and I'll clean up the end of it and bevel it on the belt sander like I did before, or the disc sander, and then I'll cut out little slices of them. So that's what's happening next. I'm going to go do that. And I'm going to point my camera at it. There we go. Actually, I can do two at a time. Oops. Before I cut them, I'm going to clean them up a little bit on the sander. See, Jason Lee says, when cutting foam, what's the secret to getting a square cut? Practice? Yeah, lots of practice. I wish they made a knife with a level. Well, maybe you could invent one, Jason. That'd be awesome. If you do, let me know. I'm interested. Yeah, just lots and lots of practice with keeping the knife straight up and down. There's no secret. A lot of the secret to making good props, making really accurate, clean-looking props, is just a shitload of practice. All right. Now I've cleaned up the ends of both of these. Now I'm gonna go trim them. Yeah, let's do that. And a little tip here. I did not cut all the way through. There's a little bit left, so I can just snap it right off. Because these pieces are so tiny, if I cut all the way through them on the bandsaw, they would fly off and I would never find them. So I'm going to just have to clean up the back of them a little bit. But that's a small price to pay. Just clean it up on the sandpaper there. And then they're ready to get glued down. And I'm going to glue them down now so I don't lose them because they're really tiny. And I'm going to use my tweezers. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it with the design next to it right there. That, and it goes right about there. Like that. And then this bigger fella, let's clean up the back of that. Let's see. Oh, Props fan wants to know what my next book will be about. Ooh. Well, I started writing it. It'll be about foam. It'll be the next addition to the Foamsmith series. That's all I'm going to tell you for now. My lips are sealed, Copper. Won't get anything out of me. All right, a little bit of glue. A little bit of... and then we just mop up a little bit of the glue that's squeezed out. There we go. We'll do that again because there's 2 more of those. So we'll go clean these guys up. Nikita says, are you considering buying a 3D printer? I sure am. That'll happen sooner rather than later. So look forward to that. All right. Clean up the ends of this. I'm just about done here, you guys. I think once these pieces and then the last piece are glued on, I'm going to be done with the stream. So if you have any questions, please throw them at me in the chat, and I'd be happy to answer them. And then I'm going to go have lunch. All right. Cool. We'll trim these. You can hear Will dremeling over there. It's Will from WM Armory. If you look up WM Armory on Facebook or go to WMArmory.com, you can see what he's all about. Shopmate. These pieces are tiny. There we go. Okay, let's glue this one down. Use my tweezers. That right about there. Clean up my squeeze out. And then let's do the other one. I cut this one really thin. Nikita wants to know what my books are about. Most of them are foam armor making armor from EVA foam. So punishprops.com, if you go look up the Foamsmith book, that's the one that's all the rage these days. All the kids are playing with it. Rev Chumley wants to know, what are you bringing to DragonCon this year? Gotta do a Destiny costume. I may rebuild my Destiny costume. That's the only one for sure I know is going. I have some other ideas, but I'm going to keep them tight to the vest or my chest before I promise anything I can't actually accomplish. There we go. All right, there's a little rectangular piece right next to it there. I think I'm going to do that piece, and then I'll be done. That's kind of shallow. Oh, it's pretty deep on the thing there. Is this too much? Yeah, let's do an 1/8 inch. Let's do it out of 1/8 inch. So that's just like a 1/4 inch wide piece. So I'm just going to go cut that real fast on the bandsaw. Let's see this. Let's do that. All right. It's a little wide, but it'll do. All right. Nikita wants to know what to substitute for EVA foam. I don't know. I mean, I use these floor mats that I'm standing on. They're anti-fatigue mats. I don't know if you have something similar to that, but that's what I use. Sergeant Waffles wants a peek at the gun. Yeah, I'll bring the gun out here before we finish the stream for sure. I like your name, by the way, Sergeant Waffles. That's pretty good. Now this has like a bevel on it, so I'm just going to try and sand that in before I cut it here. Just rounding the top, not really a bevel around. That's pretty good. Clean it up a little bit with my nail file, and then I'll cut it to length. All right. This edge is really rough, so I'm just going to cut it with a knife. Like that. There we go. Sand that, round it around a bit. Pretty good. And then cut it to length, which is about that one there. Everything today is just teeny tiny. There we go. So now I've got this really tiny little piece. I'm going to glue it down. And it's going to go right, oh boy, right there. Need to sand that a little bit more. All right. Nikita wants to know, what are the 3 most important tools? My hands, those are pretty important. My rotary tool, that Dremel, that's pretty important. And then there we go. There we go. Cool. So that goes there. And then that goes there. This goofy scope thing. And again, all of these pieces will be molded separately. Like these all go together, but they're going to stay separate. And be molded apart so that they are nice and clean. It requires less cleanup work when assembly time comes. All right, I promised I would show off the gun one more time before we get out of here, just making a little room for it because it's pretty ridiculously big. Just plug it all up, close that. There's that. Okay, making room. There it is. There's the big old freaking gun. So this is the scope, and that actually sort of goes right on there. There's this other scope piece that, again, molded separately, will go right there. And then these pieces that we just finished are going to go on the front of the scope there and there. Actually, there we go. Like that. And then these pieces that we made earlier will go right there. Boop, just like that. Ta-da! And that's that, you guys. I'm done. It's time to go have lunch. Time for me to go eat. I'm a hungry man. Yeah, but thank you, everyone. Again, let's fire this thing up here. Where is it? Thank you guys so much for supporting, this wacky stuff that we do. We just hit this milestone on our Patreon, which means we'll be doing this live from the shop sort of thing more often, which is awesome. We have another goal. The next one won't be for a while, but it'll be to do this weekly, like do this at least once a week, along with the live Q&A show that we do. So that'll be 2 shows a week for you guys. But thank you guys so much for showing up in the chat. You guys are fantastic. Wonderful questions. We'll be doing the live show again this week on Thursday. I think it's going to be earlier. We have someone from the UK, and they're in a different time zone than us, so we're going to do it a little early on Thursday, so look forward to that. And also look forward to soon the next build video for this rifle. Until next time, you guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Have a great day.